Before today's episode, I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, and recognise their continued connection to the beautiful land and sea. I'd also like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and I extend this acknowledgement to the traditional owners of the land my listeners are on. Welcome to Ritual the Podcast, your cottage in the woods. A sacred space for the witches, the healers, the magical folk to meet and speak of wisdom, witchery, and old world magic, where people come to learn, to hear stories, to share secrets, and to be free to be their true selves. Welcome to Ritual. Is it on?
Yeah.
Oh. Hello.
Hello.
And welcome back to Ritual. Are you going to do that though?
No.
Welcome back to Ritual. Stop.
Okay, sorry.
Obviously, Patty's here today.
Hello.
And I'm here. My name is Amy, and this is my podcast that Patty sometimes appears on.
I'm Patty.
It's nice to have you on.
Thank you very much, Amy. I'm very, very grateful to be here. Thanks for having me. It's been 2 weeks since my last podcast, I believe.
Yeah, we were on together for Beltane, which we just had a week ago. Yes, a week ago today.
Yes.
Today that we're filming this. No, wait. Yes.
No, we celebrated on Tuesday.
What day is it?
Today's
I'm so
Wednesday.
Confused.
We celebrated on Tuesday.
It was last week. And I hope you all had a good Beltane. We had the rainiest Beltane probably ever.
Yes.
Which is great. It was fun. But I did make the best Beltane dinner. It was like a giant platter of awesome food.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was struggling to remember as well. Yes.
Yeah.
With the thing, the blue.
I made all the like a dip, and like we had all these cheeses and fruit, and it was so good.
The straubs.
Oh, the straubs.
And the blue cheese that nobody else ate apart from me.
No, I don't like blue cheese. It smells like feet.
It's delicious.
And tastes like feet.
With a bit of toasted Turkish.
Yeah.
With some capsicum dip.
Yeah, and I made tzatziki dip.
Yeah, you made fresh tzatziki. Tzatziki?
Yeah, I can't actually even remember what else I did for Beltane.
Well, we were outside a lot.
No, we weren't. It was raining.
In the lead up to it, we were.
I can't remember.
And then we made the kids go outside, so they were celebrating.
Not in the rain, although I thought about it.
Have you been well, though?
Yeah, I've been good. I've been good. I've been very sleepy. I'm getting sleepier by the week because his baby is so big.
He's growing very well.
And he likes to keep me up at night by making me think he wants to come out.
Which is terrifying and exciting at the same time. But it's a bit early.
It's a little bit early. He's got a few weeks.
He's got some time. We need some time, so he's got some time.
I know there's so many things to do.
Yeah, we need to prep some things. Roll out the red carpet.
Excuse me.
Get some sleep.
Sorry.
And
how rude.
Oh no, I do one.
How are you?
No. We've just cancelled out each other's yawns.
Now everyone listening is going to be yawning as well.
Now everyone's. I was like, I'm trying. I want to know. I'm good.
Yeah.
I obviously coming up to the end of the year, like everyone else in the world.
It's
it's busy, and I am really looking forward to some time off.
Yeah.
And yes, everyone goes, Liam, you're gonna be me, and I know that. I'm well aware of that.
It's just not using your brain time off.
It's I think it's not. And again, I know we're having a baby. I get this, but it's not like having to, run out and be places and just have a bit of time in the house, even if he's awake and we're feeding him and we're looking after the kids. Anyway, it's like you're here.
It's more chill vibes.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too.
I think mostly because you've always got family life, but
Yeah,
then you've got
that's
work life,
standard.
and then you've got other careers, and then you've got other things and obligations that you need to do. But whenever you cancel them all out, apart from family life, you're like,
Yeah.
I can just focus on this one thing.
Tell you what I'm really looking forward to.
What are you really looking forward to, Amy?
I'm going to go on maternity leave, self-imposed maternity leave in like 3-ish weeks. I say 3-ish weeks. It's probably going to be longer than that.
It's probably going to be
when
like
you own your own business, it's like maybe you can have it for 4 hours. But I'm going to spend my time on the couch watching the cheesiest Christmas movies in the world. Like
the
every
Hallmark.
day, like all the Hallmark ones, every day by myself while the kids are at kinder and school. And it's going to be literally the best thing in the world.
Do you know what's
so
very
excited.
upsetting to hear about that?
That you can't do it?
Is that I will be in the house working.
Oh, yeah.
Staring at you going,
you'll be watching it too.
I hate you. No, I won't be because no.
I give you 20 minutes.
I
And you'll
may
be going, what did they say?
I may look over my shoulder.
Who's she in love with?
Is she married to?
She's married to a prince.
I am not a fan.
She actually loves his best friend.
Of that guy.
But Santa Claus is going to grant that wish.
Yeah. But there's work to be done.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about this.
I'm not here to talk about this.
Today is another story episode.
Right.
But we're going to keep in the Beltane theme, aren't we?
I don't have anything.
No, Patty is not doing stories tonight. Tonight, the stories are from me. And we are going to be talking about real life fairy encounters.
What?
Because obviously Beltane and then going into... Ow!
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, what was that?
Just putting up the old...
Sorry, Patty just stabbed me in the foot.
No stabbing, just plugging in the old laptop.
Coming into the summer solstice, it's all fairy vibes now.
Yeah.
And so I thought I would keep in that theme and we would dive into some fairy tales, but the real ones.
Well, let's slap on some scuba gear and just take a deep dive, Amy.
Now, I'm going to start.
Take it away.
I'm going to start by saying
right now.
This.
Go for it.
I was actually really disappointed when I was doing research about these fairy stories. Now, maybe I was just looking in the wrong place, and here's my theory, right? I feel like with like ghost stories or something like that, it's like people are more open about it because it's not as weird as a fairy encounter. Like I feel like people would be more embarrassed to talk about if they had a fairy encounter than if they saw a ghost. And so I actually really struggled finding many stories at all. And the ones I did find, and you will see some of them, I did a couple of little ones at the end. You're kind of just like, I was reading going, okay, yes, interesting. And then it just was like, in like those like movies where the music just stops and you go, oh, that's lame. Like they'd be like, and they were walking through a forest and then like something touched her hair and then there was a goblin in her hair. And I'm like, that's stupid.
Why?
Because it was just lame. Like it just sounded made up.
Well, I bet if she's listening,
no offense,
she's gonna be very upset that you just said that her story was lame.
Your goblin story was really lame. I don't know. I just didn't buy it.
You sure it wasn't goblet? Like she found a cup in her hair?
What is that clanging around?
It's a chalice.
I mean, look, maybe it was a typo, but I don't know. I just didn't buy them. Like I just didn't buy them.
If you would like to buy goblets, you can.
Get them at the following store.
Yeah, I will put up a link.
Not sponsored.
No, not sponsored by the gobletstore.com.
Could be sponsored.
Gobletstore.com. Get all your goblets. For your goblet events.
I wish people drank out of goblets more.
Maybe it's called goblets, and in brackets, not goblins.
What's the Harry Potter book?
Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire. Anyway.
Fire goblets.
HB goblets.
We're having a fire goblet sale. 25% off this weekend only at thegobletstore.com.
Anyway.
So
So I do have some
Sorry.
stories for you. Sorry, we
Right.
wasted the last 5 minutes of your life.
Sorry.
We'll get back on track.
Okay.
So I have a couple for you. But like I said, I was a little bit disappointed. So if you have fairy stories, can you send them through to me? Because I need to know that there are other people in the world that have had some good ones.
Yeah.
Because I was a bit like, But anyway,
Meh.
I thought we would start off with one of the most famous fairy encounter stories that I would say most people have heard of.
Is this the girls?
Yeah, they are called the Cottingley Fairies. Now, I know about them because I grew up watching the movie. Was it called Fairies
Fairies at the bottom of the garden or something?
No, it's like Fairies. Damn it, I should have at least written this down before. Fairy tale, a true story or something.
Oh, was that there? Oh, yeah, I watched
I
that.
loved that movie so much.
I watched that.
So basically, it's set on that. And to be honest, the movie actually did quite well in keeping to facts. Now that I've researched it more.
Yeah.
But if you're not aware, I will tell you the story of the Cottingley Fairies. So we're going to go back in time to 1917.
Okay.
And we have got Elsie Wright, who was 16, and Frances Griffith, who both came over to England from South Africa. South Africa.
Just going to London.
And so they were both staying with Elsie's family at the time. And yeah, they were. So I think they were cousins.
And they were 16?
One was 16, one was 9. Elsie was 16 and Frances was 9.
Right.
And so they were kind of in like country England. So they would go out every day.
Maybe they were in the Cotswolds.
Oh no, they were in
Swapshire.
Where were they? I've written it down somewhere.
Faversham.
Somewhere cute.
Cambridge.
I'm sure. Anyway, Cambridge.
Cambridge. So I like the English names that are like something upon something. Like
what?
You know, Newton upon time. Or
I've never heard of these places.
All right, hold on a second. No, because this is important now because I'm going to show that I actually make sense. Kingston upon Heath.
You're telling this story.
English cities upon.
London upon Thames.
London upon Thames. No, because there's only one London. Okay. Yeah, anyway, it's a fact. So just look up a map of England for anyone that wants to know.
England is a country. You'll go Google it.
Google it.
Anyway, so they were somewhere cute in England and they would spend all their days going out into the woods exploring as kids who don't have iPads do. And they developed this connection with the fairies that lived there. And so every day they would go out and they would like find these fairies. And so one time they took their dad's camera and he was like this real like photography buff. So he had like a dark room set up. He had camera and blah, 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 blah. So they borrowed his camera and they went out and they took some photos of the fairies. And so they got their dad, Elsie's dad, to develop them in the dark room. And he saw these photos. And at first he was like, he knew they were both like very creative. And he was like, whatever, this is just something they've made up. And so then like a week later, they went out again with the camera. Same thing. He developed these photos and was like, he's like, it's a prank. Like, it has to be a prank. This is not real. But Elsie's mum saw the photos and was like, this is crazy. Like, this looks real. This looks exactly like real life. I don't know how they would have done it. And they asked the girls and the girls were like, no, it's real. Like, we just took these photos of this is what we've been doing every day. And so the dad was just like flat out, no way. This is a prank and the girls are just like taking the piss, where the mum was like very convinced that these were real.
He was annoyed because they took better photos than him.
Probably.
Like, and he had a dark room.
Exactly right. So where are we? So there was a letter that was actually found from Elsie, and she sent a letter to her friend in South Africa.
South Africa.
And she had said in it, it's funny, I never, and she sent copies of the photos as well to her friend. And she said, it's funny, I never used to see them in Africa. It must be too hot for them there. So yeah, there were all these little things that kept popping up, and the mum was becoming more and more convinced that there was something going on. And so Elsie's mum went to this meeting of the Theosophical Society in Bradford.
Bradford.
To be specific. And they were having this meeting.
That's where Dynamite's from.
Who's Dynamite?
The magician.
Dynamo?
Dynamo?
He's cool.
He's from Bradford.
I haven't seen him in a while.
What's he doing? If you're listening, Dynamo.
He's a great
musician.
Magician.
He's a great magician.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So they were having this meeting on fairy life, which I would love to go to.
In Bradford.
And so she went and listened to them talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, she went up to the speaker and was like, I want to show you these photos that my daughters have taken in the garden on our property. Daughter and niece, sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, he's telling
and he was like really kind of like captivated by them, and he passed them around to all his like knowledgeable friends, and they came upon this guy called Edward Gardner, and he was like very high society, like la di da, I know everybody kind of person, but had this real like fascination with like evolution and life and what's beyond and all of that. So he is very open-minded, and he saw the photos and he was like, holy guacamole, what are these are really cool.
Guacamole was invented in 1973, so
what he did
they did use that word
in 1917.
He went, holy internet.
He did. He sent them to be tested.
Yes, I know about this, but
friends, yeah. And they found that the photos were entirely genuine. Of course, my pen has run out on that word and I can't read it. Unfaked photography with no trace of studio work involving card or paper models. So have you seen the photos?
Yeah.
So you could look at it and go, it could be like a cardboard cutout, but apparently the way it was tested, it wasn't, and it was legit.
Because then they think the dad was involved in it.
Yeah. So after this, it kind of like blew up, and there were articles written everywhere. All the newspapers were talking about it, and it was like very like half and half. Like some people were saying like, this is embarrassing that people actually think that this is real, where other people were like, is there life beyond ours? Is there something more that we don't know? And it became this whole big thing. And the girls obviously got a lot of attention from it, but they still maintained that it was real. But there was so much like backlash of like, you faked it, this is not real. And as they got older, their stories began to change a little bit as well. And they would kind of like speak without saying anything. Like was Elsie was like, no rational person can see fairies. But she wouldn't say that they weren't real or they were like fake or anything. She would just say things like that where you go, so what does that mean? Like, no rational person can see fairies. So does that mean it's like because they can see more?
Because when you have
like more of an open mind, you're able to see these things. Is that what she's saying?
I don't know. It's like if someone's rational, it means that they bring in, well, it can't possibly be true because of X, Y, and Z. Facts. And it's like, well, you're just closing yourself up. But if you walk in completely open-minded and ignorant,
then you can see it.
Then and irrational, then maybe you can, because you're not clued into all the
well, you're blinded.
The negative things that say that it's not true. It's like you only, you can only, it's like in the Santa Claus, whenever in the Polar Express.
Yeah.
That when you believe in Santa, you can hear the bell, but but when you don't, you can't hear it because your rational brain saying
it's not real.
It's not real.
And you just close to anything.
Yeah.
And so Edward Gardner, he went out with the girls to go and see these fairies and take photos with them. But the girls were like, well, they're not going to come out for you. They don't want to see you. They don't know who you are. They don't like you. They'll only come out for us. And so he left them and went off. And then they came back with the camera and they had more photos. And so again, you go, well, that's a bit weird. But I mean, when you have more knowledge of like fae magic, you do know that there are some people that don't want anything to do with because they don't know who you are. And with kids as well, they've got that more open, innocent mind. So they do tend, it's like even a spirit will come to a child more because they have that openness. So you can kind of debate it on that.
And to be honest, like you go, they say, well, they're not going to show to you while you're here. And then he backs off back to the house and then they come back with a camera. What are they going to do? What is a 16-year-old and 9 going to do in 1975 to set up?
1917.
You said it was 1975?
1917.
Oh, well, guacamole was invented in 1915 then to make that other joke work. Then, who's doing that? Like, what are they doing there with, like, models and, a laptop, like, creating these images?
In such a short amount of time as well.
What were they? That's what I mean. Like, if they go, oh, no, you go, we'll take photos, then they come back and go, here are the photos. You're not going to go, well, obviously they're faked. How did we fake them?
So.
Ourselves.
Later in life, the girls grew up, they got married and and they admitted that some of the photos were fake, but some of them were real. So I think some of the first ones were real, but obviously there was like more of a demand for them to make photos.
Well, that just knocks what I just said out of the park.
But
how did they do it?
I'm not quite sure. But there were some that were real, and they still maintained to their deathbed that they saw the fairies out there.
Wow. The thing about that is, come here, get into that.
Well, I'm sitting on a ball, and if I go over, I'm gonna fall.
That rhymed.
I'm a poet, and I didn't know it.
That one's been done. Sitting on a ball and I might fall. Here, all. What was I going to say?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So the thing about those photos is because the furries look like actual people.
Yeah.
Whereas what I think furries are like little almost orbs or sparkles, or
they can appear in so many different forms, and sometimes it is said that they can appear to you how you would want to see them, I guess, to be more familiar to you, so your brain like makes more sense.
But how does a camera know that?
Well, that's what they would be appearing as,
right?
Okay. But yeah, when I saw the photos, I was like, it's very like classic fairy, where from what I understand, they don't appear that way. They can actually be quite scary, but maybe it was because it was kids and they, I don't know, like, do they even care, to be honest, if it is kids? Like, there are some fairies that are just like, whatever.
Yeah, true.
Why do I care what you think? Going back to what I was saying about like researching and finding stories that annoyed me, there was this one.
Yeah.
There was this one. Oh my God, it gave me the shits. Hey everyone, I'm just going to pause today's episode for a moment. I hope you're enjoying it. It sounds super interesting. If you're enjoying this podcast and you're thinking, hey, how could I support this show? Then the best way to do that is to jump over to Patreon and become one of my patrons, where you'll get access to additional content, videos, bonus episodes of Ritual with Amy Harvey, that is me, learning tools to help you on your witchy path, and special discounts to my online store, rosethorncottage.com. Take it away, voiceover guy.
That's right. Simply head to patreon.com/Rosethorn Cottage to get all the goodies and support your favourite podcast in the entire world, Ritual with Amy Harvey. Now, back to the show.
God, it gave me the shits. Where it was like a similar thing where someone had captured a photo of a fairy and they got it
developed.
No, they got it like they looked into it to make
they investigated it to see it. Yeah.
And the guy said that it was real, like it wasn't like a doctored photo, but it can't be a fairy because they didn't have a wand.
Yeah.
And that was a scientist saying that. And I was like, oh, don't.
And that's the thing. It's like, if they don't have their wands,
they don't have their little sparkly ones and their tutu skirts.
It's not legitimate.
And that's what I mean is like the more I read stories, more I was like, oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, why the fuck are they sitting there holding a wand?
It's like going, well, we've actually looked at the footage of the paranormal activity you've experiencing, but we didn't hear the ghost say boo. And we all know classically, they were the sheet and they've got the holes. And they say boo. Now I'm calling this one a fake.
Yeah. Like I saw an elf, but he wasn't wearing a hat with a bell and wearing his pointy shoes. I'm sorry, you're not an elf.
That's not a real
the
photo.
Weird green creature. You are not an elf.
It's it's anything just, like that.
That's what I just found a little bit frustrating. Anyway, we're going to head over to Ireland now. Donegal.
Oh, I used to go to Donegal all the time.
Yeah. This one's an interesting one too. It has a bit of a one where you go, interesting, don't like the ending.
Right.
It's about...
Good. So just to warn everyone out there, this story starts well and ends horribly.
Don't get excited.
Don't get excited about the end. It's just, in fact, do you know what? Just fast forward.
Start listening. Go listen to someone else. This is about a guy called Neil Caton. Not a very Irish name, unless you would say in a different.
Caton.
There you go.
Neil.
Is Neil an Irish name?
I knew a few Neils and Niles.
Well, it's not Niall. It's Neil. Anyway, Neil was out as a child with his two cousins, and they were in Donegal gathering berries, which is very cute. And all of a sudden, they heard music playing. Now, one of the things about fairies is they do say that if they are around, you can hear music playing. So I will verify that fact, that can happen. And so anyway, they were creeping through the field where they saw these four figures sitting there together. All of a sudden, one of them turned around and just ran at the kids. And they were really angry that they were there, and they slapped one of them, the girl. Anyway, so the kids are freaking out. They've run, they're running back home, and the girl that got slapped fell to the ground and died.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. I just
you feel bad.
Oh, what I do. I didn't.
This is where it turns a bit.
What did she die of?
They don't know. She just died.
What year was this?
A long time ago. I didn't write the date
really
down.
Year, but okay.
Anyway, so
imagine you were a historian. A long time ago, there was a battle. Do you know what year it was? Well, it was a long time ago. No details necessary. Was this the First World War or the Second World War? Yes, around about then.
Well, lucky I'm not a historian. Okay.
A long time ago, there was this ancient civilization, and
how long?
Well, and around that time, there was the Second World War. What? The Egyptians and the Second World War.
The Egyptians were in the Second World War?
Well, it was a long time ago.
No, don't be stupid.
And the dinosaurs.
Wait, right. The Egyptians knew the dinosaurs? No, that's preposterous.
It was a long time ago, after all.
Anyway, so she died. So the dad called a priest who came and resurrected her and said,
holy shit,
that and she came back to life, and she said that if it wasn't for the boys, the fairies would have taken her forever.
Oh, boys.
The cousins.
Who's the priest?
This is what I mean. You go,
where did he go to?
I think you missed a few things in this story.
I think the most important part about it is that somebody brought somebody back from the dead.
I know. See what I mean?
That priest should have immediately started turning around the country.
They didn't even give the priest a name. They just called him the priest. Like, come on.
He should have been made a saint by now.
He's not. He's just the priest. So, I mean...
Well, if she was brought back to life, I'm fine now that I laughed about the slap, because I just imagine you're just walking through the forest with your kids. Somebody runs up and just slaps your child in the face.
I know. I know. I mean, obviously, so, yeah, that one's a bit of a...
You don't want anyone to slap your child. Don't slap your children.
So now we're going to travel to Wales.
Wales.
And I have a year. It's 1862.
1862.
1862.
Don't be so cruel.
Is famous. The Welsh accent's so crazy. Fireman Sam.
Fireman Sam. In Pontypandy.
In Pontypandy. Oh, quick call Fireman Sam.
In Wales. Don't be so cruel.
Anyway, all the parents get that.
What?
All the parents get that one.
Or if you just like watching kids' cartoons, which there's nothing wrong with.
Sam's not on anymore. On ABC Kids.
It is. We watched it. I watched it recently.
I don't think you did.
I definitely watched it recently.
Anyway.
Just by myself. Friday night. Relaxing.
So we're in Wales.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a famous story over there.
What year was this again, sorry?
1862. Long time ago.
1862.
So these guys have very well connected names. Okay. They are David Evans and Evan Lewis. David Evans, Evan Lewis.
David Evans.
And Evan Lewis.
And Evan Lewis.
And they were walking their wagons to pick up timber, as you did in the 1800s.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't that just sound nice?
It would have been horrible.
It would have been so.
It would have been.
But it sounds like
people
it would be nice.
It would have been nice to live in London in the 1700s, and but people throwing
the plague,
buckets of filth out into the street,
burned to the stake. No.
It sounds lovely, and in the films it looks nice, but nah,
it probably wasn't. They didn't have heating. It would have been really cold.
Even if you scuffed your leg on some rusty metal.
Dead.
Did they have tetanus?
No. Dead.
No.
Anyway, so it was about 2 p.m, to be precise, when they saw this trail of people walking past them. There was about 50 people, all just walking in a line.
Regular size?
Regular size. Just past them through into a field. And they were curious where these people were going, because they all seemed to be in almost a trance where none of them really paid attention to them, but they were going they were all going somewhere together in a single line.
Right.
So they were kind of watching these people and followed them a little bit, and they realized that they were all doing this dance together in unison as they walked. It wasn't a normal dance, but it was kind of this weird movement. Like
a wee shuffle.
Yeah, they were doing a bit of a twerk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they
walking and twerking would be very difficult.
Well, they apparently did a great job.
Twerking.
Anyway, they got to this field and they started to walk almost in a spiral.
Right.
So they would go from outwards inwards, and then once they got to the center, people began to vanish into thin air. And then, so the more they walked into the middle, those people would just vanish until they were all gone. And so they were really intrigued, what is going on? Where are these people going? And they spoke to someone on their travels who lived in the area, and they said that area is known for fairies, and they will often go and walk these spirals and go into their fairy world or realm. And that's what they saw. And all the villagers in those areas knew that like certain spots is where you would see them, and they would be walking from our realm back into their own. Isn't that cool?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I like that one too. Really cool.
I saw this story because Pierce Brosnan was born in Ireland. He's Irish.
Yes. Wasn't he born in Belfast, or am I thinking of
Cillian
Murphy?
He was down south. No, Cillian would have been born down south as well.
Who am I thinking of? Oh, Patrick Harvey. That the
famous guy who's on Amy's podcast.
Yeah.
What was it? Pierce Brosnan. No, Thingy was born in Belfast. Your man from
Jamie
Duran.
Christian Grey.
Jamie Doran.
Or the guy from The Fall. I know that's him, but I don't know what his name is in that.
That's Jamie Doran.
I know. I don't know what his serial killer name is.
Oh, right. No,
man.
there was a thing. I'm just trying to find. Maybe it's not here. So, but there was a story that a video I saw of him where he went to his hometown and he was telling the story of the fairies that lived in his hometown. And he was saying my grandparents always used to talk to us about. They had a name for them.
There's so many names.
Like the wee folk or something like that. It was something like that. But he said
neighbors.
They were always around here. And then how about there's that town somewhere in Scandinavia? And they built all the tiny houses.
Yes.
Because they said that there were so many fairies and elves around. It wasn't elves, it was fairies.
No, so in Scandinavia, they're very big on elves.
Right.
Which are a type of fairy.
Hence Santa.
Well,
and they built the wee houses for them. Have you seen them?
Yeah,
the wee villages.
Cute.
And they're like, that's for them to live in.
That's what I was going to say. Is I was going to tell this one story, but then I found that stories like this exist all over places like Iceland, Sweden, Ireland, Wales, where they find these like fairy mounds, almost like hills that are known to, and also the Iceland ones. I could not pronounce the names of the cities, so it's just better if I.
Oh yeah, the
Erkenschneck. Sorry if you're from Iceland.
The Erkenschneck.
You just have a really hard language.
Do you have listeners in Iceland?
Do I?
I think so. Yeah, I've seen a few pop up.
Hello, Iceland.
Hello.
I would love to go to your country. Send me
photos. Dave from Iceland who's listening.
Do you know Yoni Yinton?
She's in Sweden. It's like going, do you know Jim from New Zealand? Oh yeah, Jim. Yeah, Jim.
Isn't it? But you do that though. Like you make fun of people who go, oh, do you know that person who lives in Sydney? And you're like, I live in Melbourne, but do you know them? But then you go and do it.
No, I don't. I don't look at someone and go, where are you from? England? Do you know my mate Pierre in France? No one does that.
Maybe I do that. No,
do you know David from Wales?
He knows Fireman Sam.
He's from Pontypandy.
Anyway, what was my point? The point was
there's a connection.
Like Iceland.
No, that wasn't the point. The point was that in and around all those countries,
they are just known for so much fairy activity, and there's like so many stories that go the same way, where there's actually one that's still ongoing with this lawsuit. It's been going on for 8 years. A lawsuit with, I think this was in somewhere in Ireland actually, because they want to build over this area of land, but people are saying you can't because it's known to be where the fairies live. And for 8 years, they've had all these crazy things happen, like, like machines have exploded or someone died and people have been injured. And there was actually one place in Iceland where the whole town went bankrupt after they had built on this sacred ground. And so basically the one in Ireland is that they don't want people to like build there because they said it's just going to cause absolute carnage, and that you need to respect that land and keep it as like sacred land. And so over in Iceland and Sweden and stuff, they're very, very open to that, much more than I would say
the stories don't exist for no reason.
Exactly. But I would say they're more respectful of it over there, and the people that live there are just like, it's like saying people have dogs, like it's just a fact that that's where they live. And so that's why they built little houses and stuff to say like, we respect your land, please, like, don't cause carnage on us.
Well, there's it's a spiritual connection, isn't it? So you know, it's like anything, you can't do it.
You can't do it. And if you do, shit gets real. So I don't know how the one in Ireland's going to end. I don't think it has. I think it's still ongoing. But yeah, there are so many different ones in those countries, and Wales especially, of all these crazy building sites just going to.
Should have found one of them stories.
Well, I just put them all together and summarize.
And if anyone has any furry stories, please let us know.
Yeah.
Because
we need more in our lives.
We need more that have good endings, like not goblets in your hair.
No.
Other bits and things.
Resurrections.
Yes. Yeah. And who is that priest?
Where is he? He's probably dead now.
What's he going?
It was a long time ago.
He could have brought himself back.
He could have and should have.
Well, Amy, it's been an absolute pleasure ritualing with you today. Thank you for having me, and always a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for being here.
Not at all. Thank you. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for your wit. Thank you for your fun. This isn't my podcast. I don't know why I'm signing off.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here as well. We will be back together again soon because we're doing a special Christmas episode. And then I'll be having a baby.
Yay!
So who knows?
Who knows?
We'll probably still do some.
We'll do them.
Just be really, really tired.
Might be tired and have the baby.
Yeah, you'll see them.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for listening. And like I said, I hope you had a beautiful Beltane. And if you're in the north, I hope you had a beautiful Samhain. And just keep it real.
Yeah, keep it real, everyone. Keep it real and enjoy yourselves.
And don't go in fairy rings. The end.
No. And if you do, bring photos, bring cameras.
Oh, yeah, if you do, tell us and we'll put it on the podcast. Yeah. Maybe do go on a fairy ring then.
Yeah, and bring your camera.
You do it so I don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks very much, guys.
Bye.
Love you. Love you.